Hi, Bernardo again. Today we're going to show you how to measure for a new exterior door. There are three important dimensions you'll need to take: the width, height, the depth of the jamb. Let's get started. We'll start with the width. For best practices, start at the top, center, and bottom. Using the smallest dimension. When taking the height, make sure your tape is resting on the floor surface. Using the shortest dimension.
You've seen a quick glimpse? Now let's dive deeper and unpack the details. In this case, the measurement goes to the inside of the door jamb rather than the slab. That's intentional. The slab is sized slightly smaller so it can swing freely and seal tight against the weather stripping at the stop. As homes settle, it's normal for walls to shift or flex a bit. The framing is built to handle some of that, but the area around the opening can still be impacted. That's why we take measurements in multiple locations and go with the smallest one. It's our way of making sure the new unit fits cleanly, even if things aren't perfectly square behind the casing. We're setting this to the floor, so we're working from the highest possible point. Outside, that surface might be a wooden sill or concrete, so you'll want to check the height difference. If the flooring runs under the threshold, or just butts up to it, those conditions will shape how the door needs to be installed.
Your last dimension. So your jamb.
The door frame, or jamb, we covered in earlier sections is often overlooked in the overall process, but it's critical to understand how to assess the jamb correctly and ensure it's sized to match the current wall conditions. Let's take a closer look. As you can see here, the jamb size is determined by the overall distance from the drywall to the exterior sheathing. This dimension can vary depending on the site. We'll provide guidance based on what's actually on site. But keep in mind, while modifications like ripping a jamb or using extensions are sometimes possible, they often can't be done properly. Most manufacturers offer custom jamb depths for this reason, and when working with a pre-finished frame, it's especially important to order the jamb custom from the vendor, since any field modifications or extensions won't match the factory finish. Let's take a moment to address a question that comes up from time to time. Why don't we remove molding during a measurement appointment? To remain within scope of work, the measurements will be done for same-size door replacements, so no trim work or casing will be removed during the appointment.
The last thing we're going to check is the handle, also known as the swing. This is the direction of the door designed to open, and it's a very important step, as there are many reasons on a project why a door may open one way versus another. We always check handles from the exterior, in this case, the outside of the home looking in. When talking about interior doors, it may be from a perspective of looking into a room. In this case, we have a left-hand in swing. You can see the hinges are on the left and the door swings in.
Determining the door swing, or handing, is a crucial part of the measuring process. Unfortunately, it can also be one of the most confusing steps. While there is an industry-standard method, it's important to keep in mind that some vendors may use a different approach. That's why it's essential to know how to identify the correct swing and clearly communicate that information to the customer. Let's take a look. In-swing doors, whether exterior or interior, are designated by looking from the outside. For exterior doors, this is straightforward. Stand outside the home to determine the swing. Interior doors can be a bit more nuanced, so it helps to think in terms of how someone would enter a space, exit a closet, or move between rooms. To determine the handing, stand with your back against the hinge side jamb. Whichever arm you'd use to mimic the swing of the door will indicate its handing. If your left arm moves with the swing, it's a left hand in swing. If it's your right arm, then it's a right hand in swing. Outswing doors follow the same designation method, just from the outside looking in. The key difference is that outswing doors open toward you, rather than away. To determine handing, stand with your back to the hinge side jamb, still facing outside. If the door swings with your right arm, it's a right-hand outswing. If it swings with your left, it's a left-hand outswing. This method reinforces why perspective is essential when identifying door handing. Double doors follow the same handing rules as single doors. The key distinction is that one functions as the active door, the one you typically use, while the other is passive or inactive. The passive door generally stays closed and secured in place, but it can be opened when needed to expand the opening. This is usually done by releasing one or more bolts that secure it at the top, bottom, or both.
And that is how you measure for an exterior door. That's it for part 2 of exterior doors. See you next time.